Welcome to Coin Quest. Today we're diving deep into the fascinating world of coin collecting and numismatics by taking a closer look at the humble yet historic 1980 Lincoln 1-cent penny. At first glance, it might look like just another coin in your spare change jar, but there's more to this small copper piece than meets the eye. We're going to explore its rich history, interesting facts, unique variations, and how this little coin could actually be worth a surprising amount of money in today's market. So grab a seat, and let's journey into the story of the 1980 Lincoln penny. The Lincoln 1-cent coin has been a part of American currency since 1909, when it was first introduced to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin made history as the first American coin to feature a real person. Prior to this, U.S. coins typically showcase symbols of liberty, eagles, and allegorical figures, but never a specific individual. Lincoln, with his immense legacy, was the first to break that tradition. Fast forward to 1980. By this time, the Lincoln penny had already been circulating for over 70 years. But the version minted in 1980 carries its own significance, both for collectors and for the story of American coinage. The coin was minted in three primary locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia mint coins bear no mint mark. The Denver mint coins have a small D mark, and the San Francisco coins, which were proofs intended primarily for collectors, carry an S mint mark. One of the key things to know about the 1980 penny is that it was minted during the period when pennies were still composed primarily of copper. In fact, the 1981 cent coin is made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This matters for collectors because in 1982 the composition was changed to mostly zinc with a thin copper plating due to rising metal prices. That makes all pre-1982 Lincoln cents, including the 1980 version, heavier and potentially more valuable due to their intrinsic metal content alone. Now, let's talk about mintages and scarcity. In 1980, billions of pennies were produced. Over 7 billion in Philadelphia, more than 5 billion in Denver, and around 3 million proof coins in San Francisco. This means that in general, 1980 pennies are not rare, at least not in circulated condition. However, that doesn't mean they're all worthless. As with any coin, condition is everything. A 1980 penny in circulated, worn condition is usually only worth its face value. But high-grade examples, especially those in mint state condition or with special characteristics, can fetch higher prices. So what exactly are collectors looking for when it comes to the 1980 penny? First, let's talk about condition. Coins that are graded MS65 or higher, that stands for mint state 65 on the Sheldon scale, are considered choice uncirculated coins. These coins are free of major blemishes and scratches, and they maintain their original mint luster. A 1980 Lincoln penny in MS65 condition can be worth several dollars to collectors. In fact, certified examples graded MS67 or above have sold for over $100 at auction. But it gets more interesting when we consider error coins and varieties. Error coins occur during the minting process and can include things like double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, or clipped planchets. One of the most sought-after varieties for the 1980 Lincoln cent is the double die obverse. That's when the die used to strike the coin had a slight misalignment or doubling, which results in certain parts of the design, like the date or the word liberty, appearing doubled. While no major double die varieties have been widely recognized for 1980, minor doubling does exist, and some collectors are willing to pay a premium for strong examples. Another area of interest is the proof coins from the San Francisco Mint. These are made using a special process that results in coins with mirror-like surfaces and sharp details. Although they were not released into general circulation, many were sold in proof sets. If you find a 1980s proof penny in its original condition, especially if it has cameo contrast or deep cameo designation, it could be worth a decent amount, often between $2 and $10, with the highest graded examples selling for even more. So now you might be wondering, how can a simple 1-cent coin be worth so much money? The answer lies in rarity, condition, demand, and sometimes sheer luck. If you happen to find a 1980 penny that's in pristine condition or has a minting error, you could be looking at a small treasure. But even common coins like the 1980 penny serve as a great starting point for new collectors. It's a way to connect with history, explore the art and science of coin production, and potentially discover hidden value in everyday change. As of the current market, the price for a 1980 Lincoln penny depends heavily on those factors we mentioned earlier. A typical circulated example is still worth 1 cent. A mint state example graded MS65 might sell for between $5 and $15. A near-perfect MS67 example could be worth between $50 and $100. And a rare error coin might bring in even more, depending on the buyer and the coin show or online auction venue. The copper value alone is also a factor. Since it contains nearly 3 grams of copper, the melt value is around 2 to 3 cents as of the current copper market, although melting pennies is illegal in the United States. So the next time you see a penny on the sidewalk or go through your change drawer, take a closer look. That 1980 Lincoln penny might just be more than spare change. It might be a piece of American history, a collector's item, or even a small source of unexpected income. Thanks for watching and learning about the value and history of the 1980 Lincoln cent. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on more videos about coin collecting, rare finds, and the fascinating world of numismatics. Until next time, happy collecting and keep checking your change. If you're into coins, collectibles, or just curious about the spare change in your pocket, you're going to love today's deep dive into the 1981 1-cent penny featuring the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln. This humble little coin is more than just copper. It holds an interesting place in American history, and believe it or not, some versions of it are now worth a lot more than just 1 cent. So stick around because I'm going to walk you through its background, what makes it special, and why certain 1981 Lincoln pennies are selling for serious money on today's market. Let's start with a little history. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first American coin to feature a real person's image rather than the symbolic Lady Liberty. Over time, the coin saw several changes. One of the most important shifts came in the early 1980s. For decades, Lincoln pennies were made mostly of copper. But rising copper prices forced the U.S. Mint to make a change in the metal composition of the coin. Now here's where the 1981 penny becomes interesting. It was one of the last years that the Lincoln cent was made from 95% copper and 5% zinc. Starting in mid-1982, the composition was changed to copper-plated zinc, which drastically reduced the intrinsic value of the coin. So if you have a 1981 Lincoln penny, congratulations. You've got one of the last true copper pennies ever minted for regular circulation, but it gets better. While billions of 1981 pennies were made, not all were created equal. There are 3 mints to pay attention to. There's the Philadelphia Mint, which did not place a mint mark on the coin. Then we have the Denver Mint, which uses the small d mint mark. And finally, the San Francisco Mint, which produced proof coins marked with an S. These proof coins were not meant for circulation and were made with special care, featuring mirror-like surfaces and sharp details. If you come across one of these in near-perfect condition, it can be worth far more than face value. Let's talk about values now. Most circulated 1981 Lincoln pennies are still only worth a cent or just a little bit more. But condition is everything in coin collecting. Uncirculated examples, meaning coins that have never been used and show nowhere, can fetch higher prices. For instance, a brilliant red, uncirculated 1981 Lincoln cent from the Denver Mint can go for around $5 to $10. And if it's graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC and gets a high grade such as MS67 or above, the value can jump to $50 or more depending on the buyer. But wait, there's more. Error coins are where the real money starts to show up. In 1981, several types of minting errors occurred. One of the most valuable is the double die. This happens when the die used to strike the coin has a slight shift between impressions, resulting in a noticeable doubling of letters and numbers. A double die 1981 penny can easily bring in hundreds of dollars from the right collector. Another valuable error is the off-center strike, where the coin's design is not properly centered. The more off-center it is, and the more complete the visible date remains, the more it's worth. Some of these can sell for $50 to $100 or more. Let's not forget about the small date and large date varieties that collectors obsess over. While that distinction is more common with 1982 pennies, some coin hunters also look for subtle variations in earlier years, like 1981. Rare die varieties or transitional errors can pop up unexpectedly, and these are often the coins that turn pocket change into real money. So how do you find out if your 1981 penny is worth more than a cent? First, check its condition. The less wear it has, the better. Look for a strong strike, clear lettering, and no discoloration. Second, look for any unusual features. Doubling, off-center images, or even die cracks could mean you have a valuable error coin. Third, check for the mint mark. Proof coins with an S mint mark are especially collectible if they're still in good shape. And finally, consider having the coin professionally graded if you believe it might be something special. A certified grade gives buyers confidence and can boost your coin's value dramatically. Let's take a moment to talk about the market right now. As of early 2025, high-grade 1981 Lincoln pennies in mint state condition can sell for $50 to $200 depending on the mint and specific features. A proof 1981 penny graded PR69 deep cameo can sell for $50 to $100 or more. Error coins can fetch even more depending on how rare and dramatic the mistake is. And copper value also plays a role. With the price of copper rising in recent years, the melt value of older pennies is now about 2 cents, even though it's still illegal to melt U.S. pennies for their metal content. So while you can't legally melt them, it's interesting to know that your 1981 copper penny is already technically worth more than face value based on metal alone. So what's the takeaway here? Keep your eyes open. That old penny in your coin jar or pocket could be a lot more valuable than you think. Look for coins in great condition, rare errors, or proof versions. Even common coins can carry uncommon value when the details are just right. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned coin collector, the 1981 Lincoln cent is a fascinating piece to watch out for. Thanks for tuning in. If you found this video helpful or interesting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content about rare coins, currency, and collectibles. Drop a comment below if you've ever found a valuable penny or have questions about coins in your collection. See you next time and happy hunting. Today, we are diving into a fascinating topic that has captured the interest of collectors and coin enthusiasts for decades: the 1982 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny. You may be wondering why a seemingly ordinary penny minted in 1982 could be worth more than face value, and in some cases a lot more. Well, today, we will explore the story behind this small copper coin, the changes that happened in 1982, what makes certain variations rare and valuable, and what current collectors are paying for these. Pennies on the open market right now. Let us start by talking about the history of the Lincoln cent. The Lincoln penny was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first time a real person, and not a symbol or allegorical figure, appeared on a regular issue United States coin designed by Victor David Brenner. The coin featured a portrait of Lincoln on the obverse or front side, and originally had wheat stalks on the reverse. From 1959 onward, the reverse was changed to feature the Lincoln Memorial to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, and that design continued through 2008. Now fast forward to 1982. This year was a turning point in U.S. coinage because of a major change in the composition of the penny. Prior to 1982, pennies were made mostly of copper, with a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc, but due to the rising cost of copper, the U.S. Mint decided to switch to a copper-plated zinc composition, which was 97.5% zinc and only 2.5% copper. The appearance of the coin stayed the same, but the internal metal content changed dramatically, and this transition happened right in the middle of the year. Because of this shift, the year 1982 ended up with an unusual situation where both copper and zinc pennies were minted during the same year. Not only that, but there were multiple variations of the 1982 penny. In fact, there are 7 different versions to look out for, including large date and small date styles in both copper and zinc compositions, minted in Philadelphia and Denver. That is what makes this coin especially interesting for collectors. So how can you tell if your 1982 penny is copper or zinc? One way is to weigh it. A copper penny weighs about 3.11 grams, while a zinc penny weighs only 2.5 grams. You need a precise scale for this, but it is the most accurate way to know the composition of your coin. There are also slight differences in the appearance between the large date and small date varieties, especially in the shape of the numbers 8 and 2 in the date, but that takes a trained eye or side-by-side comparison. Now here is where it gets even more exciting. Among these 1982 variations, there is one that is extremely rare and valuable, the 1982D small date copper penny. This is a coin that was not supposed to exist officially. Number 1982 small date pennies were meant to be minted in Denver using the old copper composition, but in 2016 a coin collector discovered a 1982D small date copper penny and had it certified by the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation as genuine. Only a handful of these have ever been found to this day. Because of its rarity and the mystery behind how it was minted, the 1982D small date copper penny can sell for thousands of dollars. In fact, one example sold at auction for over $18,000. That is right, a 1 cent coin selling for more than $18,000. That is why collectors are checking their 1982 pennies very carefully. Today, even outside of the rarest version, 1982 pennies in high grade or with unique features can be worth more than face value. For example, a regular 1982 small date copper penny graded MS67 by a major grading service could sell for over $100. Similarly, a zinc version in pristine condition might fetch $50 to $75. The condition and grading of the coin matter a lot. So if you think you have a valuable version, it is worth having it graded by a professional service. So, what is the current market like as of this year? Collectors continue to search for the 1982D small date copper variety, and they are willing to pay top dollar for high-grade examples. Some coins in lower mint state grades can still bring in hundreds of dollars. The copper and zinc large and small date variations are also of interest, especially for those building complete sets. If you have uncirculated rolls of 1982 pennies, you could be sitting on a small treasure trove, especially if you take the time to weigh and sort each coin. To summarize, 1982 was not just another year for the Lincoln penny, it was a year of transition, experimentation, and variety. The shift from copper to zinc created 7 official variations, and possibly one unintentional and extremely rare variety. The 1982D small date copper penny remains one of the most intriguing modern coin discoveries, and could be hiding in plain sight right now in someone's coin jar drawer or old roll of pennies if you want to start searching. Here is what you need: get a digital scale, accurate to at least 1/100th of a gram. Start weighing your 1982 pennies. Separate the 3.11 gram ones from the 2.5 gram ones. Compare the dates carefully to see if you have a small or large date, and check for that elusive Denver Mint mark on a small date copper coin. You never know what you might find. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1982 Lincoln penny, hit that like button and subscribe for more coin collecting tips and hidden gem guides. Do you have a rare penny story, or think you might have a valuable coin? Let us know in the comments below, and we might feature your story in an upcoming video. Until next time, happy hunting, and may your next penny be worth a fortune.